What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Scratch Golf Performance, and in today's video I'm going over 5 accessory lifts that I think every golfer should be including in their training programs. Now, you know me, I'm a firm believer in power output and strength training, specifically compound lifts, big jumps, big throws, all that type of stuff. But these movements I include regularly as auxiliary movements, meaning in a rotation with my main lifts and jumps that I'm executing for the day, or I'll put them in at the end of my workout as accessory lifts. These are not the main exercises that are gonna be in your program, but these exercises should be complementing what you're focusing on in your training, which is strength and power gains. So without further ado, let's get after it. So movement number 1, I've done a lot of other videos on this exercise. It's going to be a back extension or a hyper extension. There's a lot of different variations of a back extension, but it doesn't matter what variation you do, you need to be including these at least once a week in your program. Surely you're aware that golf and the golf swing requires a lot of lower back strength, stability, and mobility. And if we're not working on the one movement that targets the lower back and that posterior chain, then we are really slacking when it comes to our golf training and programming. Some hyperextension movements that you can do to start really simple is just a Superman hold, really working on an isometric contraction in that lower lumbar fascia and the glutes and just extending that back all together. Then you can move on to a reverse hyperextension. I really like this one because you're not hanging upside down, you're not sending a lot of pressure to the head. You can really isolate the lower back and the glutes and really work on contracting that lower back and strengthening it. Then you can go to like a 45-degree hyperextension. That's a really good one to blend the two, like a reverse hyper and a GHD hyperextension. That 45-degree one is really good to kind of mix in. It's also a good movement to do some isometric holds on as well. So you can really load that lower back and hold it isometrically, strengthening it, and then working on some full range of motion back extensions as well. And then we'll move on to the GHD hyperextension. This one is again really good for hitting that full range of motion, really loading the lower back, and you can grab some weight with this one, maybe like a plate, and do that hyperextension as well. The next accessory movement that I would throw into your programming is a thoracic rotation. Obviously, golf is a rotational sport. We've got to learn how to rotate that core, get that back to the target, and then really follow through. So if we don't have good thoracic rotation, we're going to develop a lot of compensations in our golf swing. So a couple of variations that I like to do is a cable thoracic rotation, getting in a good athletic stance, really taking the hips out of play and isolating the core. The cable is a good variation to do because you can progressively overload that movement. So you can increase the weight on the cable stack and you can really drive that weight through the rotation and progressively overload it, feel a burning sensation in the area being worked, and progress to failure or keep progressing weight over time. Another variation that I like to do is a banded thoracic rotation. You're really getting a little bit more stability in there, and you're able to increase the tension through the range of motion. So the more I twist, the tighter that band gets, and the more I'm having to overcome that resistance through the range of motion. My third accessory movement that I'm going to include in my workouts is a single leg glute bridge. As you know, through the golf swing, we transfer weight from back foot to front foot. We're using a lot of glutes in the golf swings. So if I can do a really good single leg glute bridge, I'm working on individual hip and glute strength, I'm working on stabilization, and again, I can progressively overload this movement over time. You can do a single leg glute bridge on the ground, you can do an elevated single leg glute bridge, you can do a weighted single leg glute bridge. I would include some type of bridge variation in your leg day workout programming, I mean at least once a week, so you can really form a good mind-muscle connection to your glutes and they'll work a lot better and they'll work a lot more powerfully through the golf swing. And then the next movement that I'm going to include is one of my favorites. It's a kettlebell halo. This movement really works on shoulder mobility, it works on shoulder extension, it works on overhead shoulder extension. It's just a really good overall movement to throw into your programming. It also helps a little bit of core too, having to stabilize your body through that range of motion. Really, a kettlebell is the best thing to use with this exercise, only because you can get a really good grip on it, and then it allows you to work your shoulders more than your hands. You can use a dumbbell as well, but either way, as long as you're getting a good big rotation, getting that weight around your head and then back in front of you, I think that's a really good one to start throwing into your program at least once a week. And then the last one's going to be an ankle rock, working on dorsiflexion, so that raising of the toe, that motion right there. That motion is going to be really helpful for setting up in the golf swing, getting those knees slightly over the toes, and then when I load that front leg, that knee is going to want to drive over that toe just a little bit so I can push off of the ground and rotate. If I don't have good dorsiflexion, that's just building up more overcompensations over time, and that results in more varying shots. So you can start with an elevated ankle rock, so you're not having to get all the way down on the ground. Then you can progress to a weighted ankle rock, and then you can eventually start getting all the way down to the ground where you're getting the most range of motion from that movement. I would do it with your shoes off and try and keep the back heel on the surface of whatever you're doing your ankle rocks from. That way you're driving that knee over the toe, and over time you'll increase that dorsiflexion. That's gonna be it for the video, guys. It was kind of a short one, but I think these are 5 movements that I would include in your programming at least once a week, and then progress them over time so you can get better at these accessory movements and therefore getting better at the golf swing. So hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And if you have any other movements that you think you should be including in your programming, leave a comment down below and I'll make sure to take a look at those. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.